Hi. We currently have 11 people on. Welcome to First Impressions. For this installment, we are going to be sampling an indie house that hails from Chicago, Illinois, and the name of it is Scent Spells. Scent Spells is headed by perfumer Jenny Handsome. According to her Etsy site, she says that her perfume is a type of storytelling. Perfume is a spell. Perfumes are crafted with only high-quality natural essential oils, absolutes, isolates, and CO2 extracts. And they're inspired by music, animals, art, magic, and the beauty of this world. And she handcrafts these in her tiny Chicago studio. They are 100% vegan, never tested on animals. And $5 from each purchase of a full bottle goes to a different organization each quarter. And for example, for spring 2023, the proceeds go to Alive Rescue Memphis. So that is a noble act on the part of the perfumer. I really do appreciate that. I also really do appreciate her laying out her inspirations, as that always excites me, especially when it does have to do with music and nature and art, whether it's visual or otherwise. I'm very interested in how magic inspires her. But perhaps she just means magic and beauty of the world rather than some other type of magic, alchemical magic. But that could have some play in it as well. So I'm glad to have some folks tuned in. We have 11 people currently tuned in. We'll take a look at the chat. We have PS. Hi there, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. Hi there, Mr. Clean. Good to see you. We had a great time on Tuesday's finale of Effluvium. Hey, Miguel. And hi there, GMGG. GMGG Allen. If anybody knows GG Allen, that is not somebody most people want to be compared to, but great to see you, GMG. And Not in the Know, a.k.a. Oski, good to see you. And great to see you as well, Dave B. So I was planning on having a little bit of music in the background. My laptop, I've noticed since Tuesday, has been acting up, hence the bit of jankiness in some of my visuals and sound. Hopefully that will be resolved with a little bit of troubleshooting and diagnostics on my laptop in time for my return to live streaming on June 27th with Persolays. For the Effluvium Summer Edition. So just bear with me. If I experience some technical difficulties, I'll do the best that I can. We currently have 13 people tuned in. I'll be getting started with these first impressions in just a moment. And welcome back. I have the little box here that contains scent spells. I have Torn Curtain, Dolly, Three of Cups, Dead, Georgia. I like the colors of these too. And we have Suzanne, which makes me think of the Leonard Cohen song. It's spelled that way. I think what we will do is start off with Torn Curtain. I do have a notes breakdown as a guide, but I will lead with my nose and refer to that as a secondary reference. Woo. So wonderfully earthy. Earthy and damp and dense and chewy. This definitely is a natural perfume, but one that I think I could sink my teeth into so far. What I find is most forward in this is a cinnamic quality and a labdanum. They're pushed forward more so than just about anything else. And I don't see tolu balsam in the breakdown, but I think by having this particular combination of hydrocarboresin, which happens to be the fractional destructive distillation of labdanum she uses, that combined with cinnamon bark is giving me that impression of tolu balsam, because tolu balsam is also a resin. It's a balsamic resin, and it has a very cinnamic quality to it. And P.S. asks, chewy as in fleshy. Yeah, it's like there is a meatiness to it. And I say that it's a positive compliment, a positive observation, because I tend to be drawn to those kinds of fragrances anyhow. There's a pepperiness, prickliness, a sweetness, a smokiness. This might be something that I would like to see what happens on the skin, to see if the top notes lift more than on this paper, which we know has a very different evaporation curve. There's something in the very top of it that is animalic, a bit unsettling, but it evaporates very quickly. It's only for the first few seconds. So there's a bit of roughness in the very top notes, but that dissipates very quickly here. And then it's just this very naturalistic, not to be redundant because I know this is natural perfume, but a very naturalistic, of the earth, like humus, like loam, like, you know, that type of earth that has all the organic matter in it, but it has that cinnamic value to it. So I find it to be quite pleasant. And if you're a fan of something like January Scent Project Bervuvu, for example, or perhaps Chypre Mousse from Maurice-Legrand, this may appeal to you. It isn't particularly loud, but there is that fleshiness, that chewiness, that sort of digging in the dirt, and that woody bark, spicy quality, nutmeg. Nutmeg is great for fleshing that out. Fun. It's fun. Detritus. Yes. But only the most lovely detritus of the earth. The detritus that I love. I mean, I'm very much a man of the woods. I'm not a very urban person. I'm not a city slicker anymore. Since I've moved out to the suburbs, I do love spending a lot of time in that. And so I like fragrances that evoke that. Which does remind me, per the suggestion that was made by one of my viewers, I will be doing at some time in the summer fragrances that reflect the outdoors, or agrestic fragrances. I'll be doing a video that showcases the fragrances that I have in my collection that most suit that description. Very well then, we'll move on to the next one. PS asks, any white flowers to add mid-body? And are you referring to the Torn Curtain? I don't detect anything that's very floral in this, actually. Maybe some rosiness, and that's mostly sort of like a geraniol or damascones, but it isn't necessarily. It doesn't push forward like a rose note, which once again sort of reminds me of Bervuvu, because Bervuvu also has a rose note in it, in the pyramid, and I detect the rose components, but it doesn't say to me there are roses here. It's like those rose components they're contributing to the overall effect rather than lending a very forward rosiness. It may very well be, Keith. Much love for Sicily Eau de Campagna. Yes, there will be some that remind me of gardening and gardens. So that I think that I will be featuring Eau de Campagna for sure. We have 16 people tuned in. It's modest, but it's fine. We have 2 other live streams that are very popular currently, but there is an archive, and I'm always thrilled to have people watch the archive streams. The next one that I think I will do from Scent Spells is Dolly. And I'll spray on paper first before I feel comfortable spraying it on skin, if I choose to do that. And Scent Spells Dolly looks to be a little bit more citrus forward with lighter white florals. There is apparently an apple note, and it dries down to conifers, cypress, fir, and then vetiver. So that sounds very interesting. Okay, let me do this. This is Dolly from Scent Spells. Very terpenic, like there's terpenes, heavy terpenes. So for folks who are not aware, a terpene or a terpenoid is a type of alcohol that is found in fragrant materials. And they're in abundance in citruses, in conifers, in spices. They're even in woods. There are heavier terpenes called sesquiterpenes or sesquiterpenoids, which give sandalwood its scent. Here, it really is the terpenes of the citruses and the conifers that are very forward here. It's very much like conifers. And I'll say that, specifically, it's like if you take some needles from hinoki or arborvitae or some other type of cypress, and you crush those needles in your hand and you release the oils. That's what it very much smells like. And I think, and I don't know if this is Jenny's intention, but by having these citruses, it's painting that larger picture. Because the oils themselves that come from those cypress or fir or other kind of conifers, there's often a certain something that's missing that you only get from those fresh needles, the fresh foliage. And there's a yuzu note in here, which I think is really effective in bringing out that quality. I would say that this would probably be quite challenging, just from this cursory observation from this paper, it would be quite challenging for those who like a bit of more of a impressionistic Disney pine. If that makes any sense to you. And when I say Disney, it's a little flourished, a little embellished, made less rugged, less earthy, less raw. Because this is rugged, earthy, and raw for sure. But I think I might even enjoy this one so far on paper, even more so than Torn Curtain, which is why I would like to try it on my skin. So this is Dolly from Scent Spells, and I'm going to put it on this wrist. So those first seconds are very much Telltale Natural perfume, and I say that because there are certain synthetics that would round off those rough edges. Be that as it may, I kind of like that sometimes. I kind of like that they're not rounded, because it ends up blending this. It ends up blending this naturalism, this sort of, what you smell is what you get kind of, vegetation and foliage that you might miss in perfume, because there is that philosophy of polishing in conventional perfumery, and sometimes I crave things that are not so polished. So I did want to clarify that by saying that it's rough at the top, I enjoy that, actually. Be that as it may, it only lasts 5-10 seconds, because then it settles. And to me, this very much evokes, in a way that I rarely experience or rarely encounter in conventional perfume, that raw quality of coniferous foliage. So far. Because we're just dealing with first impressions. We're just dealing with the first impressions, the top notes. We have yet to see what transpires later on. Dolly is quite nice so far. Nice enough for me to put on my skin. So I look forward to finding out what happens later on. P.S. says, Yuzu is too well behaved for my preference. That's fair. I find yuzu to be quite bold sometimes, and the yuzu materials in perfumery can be some of the most tenacious of citrus materials, actually. Here, I think that the yuzu is what is bringing out those qualities in the cypress and fir, the needles, the foliage, in a way that just using the essential oils alone probably would not. Hey, Rachel. Rachel says, this is so cool. JJ, we were in the car on the way to dinner with extended family. Don't worry, I'm not driving. I'll watch what I can now and look forward to checking out the whole thing on replay. Well, thank you, Rachel. We had a fun time on Tuesday. I think so. P.S. The contrast can create enough tension. There is a compliment, but there's also a little bit of tension with the citrus as well. It just makes it more three-dimensional in a way, which is impressive for natural perfume, I'd have to say. But yet again, I just sprayed it on my skin about 5 minutes ago, or even less so. And that was Dolly. 16 people tuned in. I'm not going to keep repeating that. We had a wonderful showing on Effluvium. We had about, I think at its peak, 58 people tuned in. So that was really wonderful. Fun times. All right. Next in line, we'll do Suzanne. I'm going to smell before I read the notes. I have the notes there, but I'm going to smell it first. Ooh. This kind of reminds me of elderflower. And like polleny kind of bready wildflowery, jasmine, maybe linden flower. Wildflowers, like definitely wildflowers. Now I'm picking up something that reminds me of mimosa. Okay, I'm gonna look at the breakdown. I'm gonna break down and look at the breakdown here. So Suzanne, top notes: bitter orange, blood orange, bergamot, yuzu. And the mid, black tea, neroli. Ooh, I do, yeah. And then I love this. There is a note of goldenrod. So do you folks know what goldenrod is? I'm sure if you are connected with the outdoors and nature, especially in the summer and in autumn, there's a lot of goldenrod that grows. Some people mistake it for ragweed, but in fact, goldenrod, which is golden, often it is a golden yellow color, does not really trigger allergies. It is confused with ragweed, which has more drab green colored flowers and looks kind of raggish. Goldenrod actually does have a scent to it. And it is sort of like a honeyed, polleny, reedy kind of stemmy kind of scent. Like just sort of like wildflower scent. This does kind of give me this wildflower vibe to it. Like when you find things like yarrow and golden Alexander, clovers, like a meadow. Yeah, because broom, Genet or broom can give a similar effect for sure. Here, that is not listed as a note, but then again, the note breakdown isn't gospel. But there is something very unusual. It does have this like a tonic herbal medicinal tea, which I love. There is sort of this fermented yeasty quality. Now, I know that might sound disgusting, like how on earth? Why on earth would somebody want something to smell yeasty? Well, if we have a clean, clear mind and we understand that we're talking about bready yeasty, So let's not go in that perverted direction or that, it's not that. It's a bready, yeasty kind of like what a lot of wildflowers and plants do give off if they don't necessarily have the conventionally pretty sort of floral fragrance, which makes it really agrestic. Agrestic as meaning it feels like the country. It feels like the outdoors. It feels like pastures and meadows with wildflowers and grasses. But it has some je ne sais quoi to it. Some elements in it that lend it like a little bit of fermented and a little bit of sour and a little bit of overripe, which I think is what it attributes to that overall feel, I think. Because, plants are constantly in flux. You have plants that only grow at one point in the year, and then they recede, while others, they start to bloom and grow leaves, and then they recede. You have ephemeral plants. You have plants that just keep on popping up again and again until the first freeze, like dandelions. So it's like all these different plants, vegetation that are constantly in flux throughout the year. Yeasty because of the lactones. I'm thinking, because I am using the notes as a guide, there are a few different things that are used here which are quite intriguing. I definitely I pick up the jasmine grandiflorum, which is contributing a ripe indolic quality to it, but there's also a seaweed. And I presume that Jenny is using a seaweed absolute. That may very well be a contributor. It isn't necessarily smelling aquatic or marine. And I think maybe she used just a shade of it, because I know that seaweed absolute is quite tenacious and rather difficult to work with in perfume. And there's also a cognac. So she might be using a cognac essential oil, which doesn't necessarily smell exactly like cognac as the way we smell it when we're drinking cognac. It can be very fermented and sour and almost, don't get grossed out, folks, because remember, this is just the pure material. Once it's diluted, it's very different. When you smell the pure material of green cognac, white cognac, it can smell very butyric. And when things smell very butyric, giving you a little bit of scent chemistry lesson, things that are butyric acid, butyrates, in small quantities, they make things fruity, or they make things cheesy when they're in a larger quantity. And in very large quantities, it can smell like vomit. So the cognac essential oils need to be diluted to a smaller percentage and dosed very carefully to create a certain effect. And I think here that certain effect is creating that ever so slightly fermented, yeasty, bready quality that some plants can naturally give off. I think that that's pretty brilliant, actually. I could very well just, this is all theoretical, but this is my impression. There definitely is a sizable amount of jasmine grandiflorum too. It grows more jasmine-y as time progresses. Lovely. If you haven't already done so, please hit the like. And if you would like to support my channel, feel free to buy me a coffee. You can buy one. It's $5 each, or you can buy more if you're feeling really generous. You can buy me a coffee at www.buymeacoffee.com/Joseph, COLBP. And thank you for your support. The next one that I will try from Sense Spells is Dead, Georgia. Oh, wow. There's a very musty quality, like grape must, as a matter of fact. It smells like a large quantity of, oh, it just so happens to be methyl and threnolate is a note in it. And methyl and threnolate is what is used. It's used in orange blossom accords. It's used in jasmine accords. Certain, minute amounts of it that impart those floral fragrances. In some larger amounts, it smells like conker grapes. In very large amounts, it can get very musty. And it kind of reminds me of decaying wood. But there is there's a lactonic quality as well, perhaps due to the peach and apricot that I see is listed in the mids. This is very musty and dusky. It's rather peculiar. There's an aspect of fermenting fruit. It's a bit puzzling. This one is a bit puzzling. There is this like a gritty, powdery, chalky kind of feel too. And it's just out of reach what this is reminding me of. It's reminding me of something, but it is just past my ability to recall. What this reminds me of, so I remember when I was a kid, my older brother had a metal lunchbox. And it was a Spider-Man lunchbox, as a matter of fact. And I remember I would open it and I could smell like over-ripened bananas and just the smell that food had been in there again and again and again, and it never really had been washed. There's a little bit of that. And it's funny how I have that scent memory, because I remember being fascinated. I mean, there you go. There are your origins right there, smelling unusual things as a kid. But it does evoke things from childhood. You know what also I'm picking up as well? That slightly jarring smell of something that's been left in the freezer for too long, and it's a bit freezer burned. And it'd be interesting to find out the chemistry behind that smell, like what is contributing to that. It's undecided as to how I feel about this, but it is fascinating no less. So I think what I'll do is I'll put Dead, Georgia aside, and I'll move on to the next one. And the next one is Three of Cups. Three of Cups, which actually has a very nice dark color to it. I'll show you. Very nice dark color. Almost like cola-like. And yeah, there's a sour and a sweetness. Yeah, there is a combination of that in the other one, and PVC, overripened PVC. I don't know about PVC. Maybe it was metallic too. And then that weird kind of like, I don't know if Freon contributes that smell, or what kind of chemical reaction causes that freezer burn kind of smell in a freezer, but I was picking that up as well. All right, we'll move on to 3 of Cups. Ooh. This one's a little strident, and I'm not complaining, but there's a very strident top note to this. It's like a lot of like Damascenone. Not that you can use a lot, but I feel like it was used to the max. Damascenone, for those who are not aware, Damascenone is a type of it's a component that is used to build a rose accord. It's found naturally in certain roses. Many of the classic roses have a tiny bit of Damascenone. Also tobacco and berries of certain types, and dried fruits. This one's glorious in its top note, though. Hi, Lewis. Lewis says, I appreciate the addition of peaceful and thought-provoking music, not off-putting at all. Thanks. There is a cacao, there is a chocolatey cocoa. It's rosy. It's sort of grain. Wow, I think this is my favorite one so far. So intriguing. There's an aspect of it that reminds me of Ovaltine. I don't know if that did they ever drink Ovaltine growing up? The malt flavor of Ovaltine. It smells like that. But it's Ovaltine with this rosiness, almost like this port wine. It smells so mysterious. All right, so we'll look at the. I'll give the notes breakdown. So the top notes: pink pepper, elemi resin. I'm assuming, or elemi essential oil. Elemi is It is an exudate from a plant that has a lemony, peppery, incensey kind of scent profile. We have heliotropin, which is obviously what would build a heliotrope accord or something that is in that direction. The Damascenone is listed in the top. Geraniol, cocoa essential oil. And in the mid, we have rose, raspberry. So I think the Damascenone and the raspberry is creating that port wine. Barley, Bushman's Candle, which I have not smelled in raw form. I did see that natural perfumer Mandy Aftel was selling some of it at one point, and I had thought about acquiring some of it for reference. And we have the Cocoa Absolute, in addition to the essential oil. Base is vanilla, tolu balsam, labdanum, popanax, maltol, patchouli, and porcini mushroom. Now, how's that for exciting and intriguing? It feels pretty distinct to me. It does. And I would gather it has something to do with the barley. I don't know if Jenny had used a barley absolute, and then the maltol together is creating that malted, sweet scent that would come from Ovaltine. But I kind of like it. I kind of like that. I've never encountered something like that in a fragrance before. Hey, Pat Lester. Good to see you. Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. That's why I was picking up the Ovaltine. But it feels incensey, and it feels like also like old paper, old books. This is the next one that I want to spray on skin. So I'll spray on the top of my right hand. I'm into this enough to see what happens on my skin. Yeah, the cacao is really evident. And for once, like, I can get with it. I can get with that cacao. I can get with it. It doesn't smell like excessively sweet. It has that raw quality to it, like you're smelling like a brick of it, like a brick of like raw chocolate, no sugar at the top. Even though we have the maltol is playing a role. There is a little bit of sweetness, but that cacao does not feel excessively chocolatey, excessively sweet chocolate or milk chocolate or, the kind that, like, in acro, what's the name of the acro that's chocolatey? To me, when I smell that, I wrote a review and I said it's kind of like eating Tootsie Rolls and washing them down with Yoo-hoo. I'm not a big fan of that kind of chocolate at all, but apparently it has its fans. Here, no, it's very dusky and tawny and it's warm, but it isn't excessively sweet. It kind of reminds me of that feel that you would get from Santal Majuscule from Serge Lutens. That woodiness with the cacao. Benji says dark. Yes, acro dark. You're right. Yeah, it's supposed to be dark chocolate, but I don't get dark chocolate. I get like really gross Tootsie Roll Yoo-hoo chocolate from it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe that's just how my olfactory receptors just refuse to read it as like a genuine dark chocolate. It just doesn't seem dark enough. It's not pleasant. And I'm generally not really a crazy fan of a chocolate in a fragrance unless it's like kind of like a supporting note. That it's shading, it's kind of creating some contrast, like in Santal Majuscule, and like in 3 of Cups. But I love that it also has like that rosy port wine, dark berry, dried fruit, the lignin from the glue of like a binding of a book kind of feel too. So I think this one is probably my favorite out of all of them. But I have the other 2 that I sprayed from earlier, and it's been a little bit of time. I'm going to smell them. I'm going to smell Torn Curtains over here. So, PSS, when you mentioned old books, reminded me of Decaying Woods, not Milky Sandalwood. Oh, no. It's like the cacao reminds me of Santal Majuscule. Not the woodiness doesn't remind me of the Santal Majuscule. It doesn't have that milky sandalwood. This is a very different kind of woody, Decaying Woods, old paper, old books, probably in place of that milky sandalwood. But getting back to Torn Curtains, As it is dried down, it's mildly, it's more like a smoky, resinous, still quite cinnamic. A little bit more kind of like coumarin, like tonka, maybe like it's an amber, but not an amber that has very much vanilla to it because there's a hydrocarbon resin. It's more like an incensey kind of resinous feel. But I really like the dry down of that one so far. And then Dolly on this wrist. Now this has grown much more vetiver. Like this nutty, grassy vetiver. So that the crushed foliage of the conifers, of cypress and fir, whatever, hinoki, you name it, that I've experienced when I first applied it has really started to settle. And it's this interesting, nutty, grassy. It's a very cool kind of vetiver dry down. So my favorites from these three are Torn Curtains, Dolly, and Three of Cups. Now, Suzanne, which 1, 2, 3, this would be the third one. Still on paper, I wasn't quite ready to put it on my skin. Yeah, on the paper, it really just has a lot of, it's like a jasmine tea. It is all jasmine tea to me, which I like. Maybe later on in the stream, if I'm still sticking around, I'll put this one on the skin, but I just want to let the other one settle a little bit more so I'm not overwhelmed. But I'd say that's a fourth one that I can vibe with, I can jam with. It's the Dead Georgia, which was a huge question mark for me. I don't really know what is going on here. This is the main source of puzzlement for me. There's these lactonic qualities, but then there are these tart qualities, and then there's these musty qualities. But it doesn't feel. There doesn't feel like there's any sort of, and there's a word that I use for this, like a legibility to it. Like I can't grab onto anything. It's just sort of more like a swirling mass, kind of like vertigo. Like it's just these things kind of coming in and out, and I don't really know how to register it. So I don't know how I feel about that one, to be fair. So PSS Note Tree mentioned black tea or just tree. Oh, the Note Tree, the breakdown. It does mention black tea. So this isn't like, it feels like a jasmine green tea on the paper, even though it says black tea, which, tannins. I'm sure you can get a green tea kind of feel. And also in the base, there's a mate. That could be, have some involvement with that as well. So I don't even think I really read the breakdown for Suzanne or for Dead Georgia. And to be fair to the folks tuned in, Suzanne, the top note is bitter orange, blood orange, bergamot, yuzu. The mid, black tea, neroli, goldenrod. I think I did read some of this because of that goldenrod note. The lavender, jasmine grandiflorum. The base, mate. Seaweed, I talked about that a bit. Tree moss. Cognac, we discussed that a little bit. And frankincense. And I'm really growing to like that one, and I do want to try it on my skin. Dead, Georgia, Top Tote Mimosa, which I'm not getting. I'm not getting a mimosa for it. I don't doubt that it's in there, but it's somewhere within the mix there. But it's the levels are somewhere other than where they would normally be if somebody wanted like a mimosa forward note. So top note mimosa, bergamot, seawood, grapefruit, methyl and thranolite, which I was describing a little bit earlier. The mid, peach, apricot, neroli, cypress essential oil, ylang ylang, and linalool. And that could describe it. When I read that mid note, that's a lot of lactones and terpenes and fleshy ylang ylang, and that's a lot going on after having that methyl and thranolite. And so I could see where it's a little hard to grasp on any one component or any one aspect of Dead Georgia. Base, oak moss, tree moss, cypress absolute, so the solvent extraction from the cypress, fir, tobacco, mate, labdanum, and patchouli. "21 people are currently tuned in. And my verdict so far is that I am really intrigued with scent spells. I think that Jenny has some very cool ideas. As far as the level of execution, I don't know how long she's been doing this, but I see that there's much potential. A bit of inconsistency, a bit rough around the edges. However, like I said earlier in the stream, sometimes I welcome rough around the edges, especially when it is intentional. I don't know if they're intentional here. I may not ever know. I don't know if it's fair to ask a perfumer, was that roughness in the top? Was that intentional? So, all in all, I really enjoyed sampling these. I do think that I'd like to spend more time with Torn Curtains, Dolly, Three of Cups, and Suzanne. Dead Georgia, I'll still try it on the skin, maybe later, if I'm still on the stream or later tonight, just to see what happens on the skin versus paper. Because to be fair, I always say this, on paper, it's one story. So I try on paper, and then I at least try to give it a shot, unless it just is horrid, even on paper, then I'm just afraid to put it on skin. And Dead Georgia is not horrid. It's a bit perplexing, but it's not horrid. So I think I want to give it a chance and get a feel for it, see what's going on, see what happens once it's on my skin. So there you have it. The time is now 6:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have just done first impressions from Scent Spells, Chicago-based indie house, and the perfumer of Scent Spells is Jenny Handsome. You can check out her fragrances. I think that she offers samples, if I'm not mistaken. I will have the Etsy site in the description. I will also share it with you right now. I actually had failed to add it to the description ahead of time, but I will be sure to do so. But let me just get the Etsy page for you. Give me one moment, and I will put that into the chat. And you can check her out and her fragrances there at www.etsy.com/shop/scentspells. Okay, next we're going to move on to two fragrances from Christophe Laudamiel and his house, The Zoo. I'm going to be... I think what I'll do is I will leave Suzanne and Dead Georgia out to perhaps spray on later. I'm going to file these away. Thanks, PS. Okay. Moving right along. Here are the two. This one, Everlasting. And and smile and shine. I'd like to thank Rachel, K&G, a regular contributor on this channel and my co-host for Fluvium during this first season, for sending me these. It's very generous of her. So I'm running out of skin. There's always this skin up here. That's why I don't want to do... It's never a good idea to do too many first impressions at once, so I keep it to a limit. I have these. Then what I'm going to do is the Rubinis, and then we'll stop it there. So first we'll do Everlasting, a 2021 release. And the zoo is owned by Dreamair LLC, run by Christophe Laudamiel, who was one of my guests this season for Effluvium a few months ago. We're going to give this a spray on my forearm. I'm just going to go right for it, not on paper, right on the skin. That's how much I trust Christophe. And I've heard great things about Everlasting, so... Ooh. For those who are tuned in, we currently have 19. The chat is rather dormant, save for my good friend PS there. If you're willing, just say hello. Let me know that you're here. You can do sort of like a roll call. Ooh. Oh, I knew you were there, Clean. Yeah, this is really good on skin so far. Wow, and I'm going kind of close, but... Oh. Hello, hello. Glad you folks are still there. This is... I like this. I must say that I do. Ooh. Oh, there is such a like an earthy patchouli thing that's coming out, but there's also this sweetness. But not like a maltol sweetness, kind of like a resinous sweetness, like that honey kind of sweetness. Not honey. Try to explain it, like a not sugary sweetness. Ooh. This is addictive. Ooh, it's so mossy and really a good dollop of labdanum. And there's this sort of this animalic undertone to it as well. Like it kind of almost reminds me of castoreum, even though castoreum is not in the notes breakdown. Yeah, this would make for a great wear for sure. There's a greenness. It's kind of It's very outdoorsy. I think this is another one that I would label as agrestic. Of the outdoors, of the countryside. Bucolic, pastoral, idyllic, if you will. Hey, Dave B. Dave B, this is The Zoo. Everlasting. From The Zoo, Christophe Laudamiel. Hi, Josie. Hey, little bumblebee. Thank you, Not in the Know. Appreciate it. And Josie's Scent of the Day, Belle de Jour. Great. Hello, Heinrich. Scent of the Night, L'air du désert américain. Yeah. This one is a nice one. Nice. I like. Daddy likes. Yeah, this is good. And I notice here, there are the sexual organs of the jonquil or narcissus right here. Here's the corona. So we have all the good stuff in there that the bees dig into, and they get all the goodies. It wraps around, and you see right here, look at that. Yeah, the flower's genitalia. How naughty. Yeah, this is great. May go full bottle. I haven't wanted to go full bottle on anything for a while, but I'm getting full bottle fever. Full bottle fever, driving me crazy. Bryn, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. You missed our season finale on Tuesday of Effluvium. You may have watched the archive. If not, I highly suggest that you do. It was a grand old time. You're welcome, Dave. Benji says, I ordered a bottle from the zoo and a Rubini from Brooke. Brooke! My love, Brooke. Brooke from Sensei today. I asked her samples of Everlasting and Smile and Shine. Christophe never lets us down. Wonderful. Now. I have a reputation to uphold. Dave B. Scent of the Night, Gucci Porom 2. Excellent. GMG. La Desert American. La du Désert American is the most voted on for Grantica. Guess what, GMG? People think I've smelled everything, but I've actually never smelled it. I resisted the hype. I was like, you know what? So many people hype this up. I'll get around to it at some point. It's not that important. I never got around to it, so I can't give a comparison of it. To be honest, a full bottle US 95 with free shipping. You can't go wrong with that. That is a good price. Scent of the day, Guerlain Vetiver. I'm not in the know. 19 people tuned in. Cool. Yeah, it's a long one. You can scan through it. We did 4 hours on Tuesday evening. I know what you meant. Jenny! Yeah! I had a lot of fun with them. There are a few that I really am captivated with. So I want to thank you so much for sharing these with me. I look forward to spending more time with them and getting better acquainted. It means a lot to me that you reached out to me to do this. I think that you have a true talent, and a few of these, especially, what is the name of it? The Three of Cups. I'm living for that one. So, yeah, great stuff. I want to thank you again. Thank you so much. Oh, and a nice scent of the night. Frederick Mahl, Roses and Queer. Very nice. P.S. says my skin projects longer than most, so the zoo is a bit too much on me. Wow. So that's giving a clue as to what the performance is. That's what I want to give, is a bit more of a mellow vibe, especially with First Impressions streams. As many of you know, I'm going on a reprieve, a little bit of a sojourn. Is that the right word? Until the 27th, then we do have a summer session, but then I'll be coming back with First Impressions streams, which will be pretty regular, maybe like once a month, twice a month, give or take. Oh, I was right. I'm digging that one. I love I love that it just reminds me of like a meadow, and all of these, those wildflowers that give off these beautiful smells that are not your typical kind of floral smells, and I love the tea that's in it as well. I look forward to wearing it a few more times and getting to know it better. And Jenny wants to thank everyone. We'll be in touch. We'll definitely chat more. Thank you. Yeah, so everlasting, that's on the that's definitely a great one. I like it. Smile and Shine is the other one from the zoo. Smile and Shine from 2020. Or as Barbara Walters used to say, 2020. Okay, so this is the citrus. I like my citruses. Spray it. Ooh, I can almost taste it. Wow. That is some serious lime and grapefruit. Like that is, it's not like Lifesavers lime. It's not like pink grapefruit candy. This is the taste of a raw lime, pith, zest, flesh, rind, all of it, the whole 9 yards. And the grapefruit is secondary. It's the lime and the supporting actor. Best supporting actor? The supporting actor is the grapefruit. Bren Lynch, Scent of the Day, Calvin, the original Calvin. Old school goodness. Very nice. Wow. Yeah, there's some high impact materials in this. Christophe is not messing around with this one. It is like a citrus powerhouse so far. And that's really all that I'm registering for now. We'll see how it develops. I see a Tagette note, which Tagette really can complement citruses and can extend them into the heart. Because the truth is, citruses, natural citruses, they have a rapid evaporation curve. So the magic of a perfumer is to use materials to extend, to keep the impression of it there even when it is actually not. There are some innovative materials that really do smell citrus-like, even though they're synthetic, that can do that. But there are also other naturals that can do that. Clary sage, Tagette, geranium, petitgolan. And there is a note, sea daffodil. Now I'm pretty good with my taxonomy, but to be honest, I don't know what a sea daffodil is. Does anybody else? I thought I knew it. I thought I knew my flowers and my. I'd never heard of a sea daffodil. And as a matter of fact, I will look up what a sea daffodil is right now and see what the story is. And unless there is a natural material from this plant that I just didn't happen to be aware of, this was probably put together with a combination of naturals and synthetics to create an accord, or it could be a fantasy note. I don't know. I have never smelled a sea daffodil, so I don't know for certain. But I'm looking it up even as we speak. Just bear with me to learn about. We'll learn together. It's just like Martial's song. We'll learn together. We'll grow together. Sea daffodil. Oh, wow. There's actually a Joe Malone scent called Sea Daffodil. And get a load of this. It actually grows on beaches in like grasses and sometimes right out of the sand. Holy moly. This is fascinating. So I'll let you know what sea daffodil, I mean, there's a picture on Wikipedia of a sea daffodil actually growing right out of the sand. So Pancratum maritimum, or sea daffodil, is a species of bulbous plant native to the Canary Islands and both sides of the Mediterranean region and Black Sea from Portugal, Morocco, and the Balearic Islands east of Turkey, Syria, Israel, and the Caucasus. So this isn't a true narcissus. So it isn't a true daffodil. It actually is in the family Amaryllidaceae. Amaryllidaceae, which I would presume is the same family as the Amaryllis. So in culture, the Hebrew name for the flower is Kavatsalet HaKof, closely related to the Rose of Sharon, mentioned in the Song of Solomon, and since the plant grows on the Sharon plain of the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, it is suggested that the biblical passage may refer to this particular flower. It's a beautiful flower. Look it up. And I guess it has a scent to it. We can determine that. Maybe I'll do a little refined search here. Ooh. So this is one of those situations where I have never smelled a flower, so I don't know how to look for it in a fragrance, if it in fact has a scent. But Joe Malone already did a fragrance called Sea Daffodil, so I'm guessing that it actually has a fragrance to it. It has a scent. Let's see. So, in asking the question, what do sea daffodils smell like? It is said that they have the smell of fresh sea air with the brightness of ylang ylang and mandarin. Oh, that's the description for Joe Malone. Jesus Christ. No. I'm not going to waste my time trying to find out if it actually has a true scent, but I don't know. I don't know if Christophe Laudamiel, if he does fantasy notes. But I think it's very cool. Oh, that's very cool. P.S. He can find it where he lives, the sea daffodil. And Bryn Lynch says, like a daffodil on vacation, if you will. Sort of, yeah. I mean, this is literally a flower that's growing out of the sand. But I guess it's actually in the Amaryllis family, but it looks kind of like a daffodil, hence the name. It has kind of like that in the central part that looks like the corolla of the flower. Cool stuff. Well, it is drying down to a bit more of a saltiness. So this is giving me the feel of like a margarita a little bit, or a caparina. Good stuff. I like it, but I think so far I'm loving the Everlasting. The Everlasting is a pretty distinct fragrance, one that is definitely getting my attention. So, yeah. So I'd like to wear this a few more times. I'd like to revisit it in cooler weather and see how I feel about that. And those are the two from the zoo. Time's now 7:16 p.m. Next, we are going to move on to the Rubini fragrances. These were sent to me by Brooke, who we were just discussing earlier. Brooke of Saint-Celier. You can visit her site at saintcelier.com. I'll put that into the chat here. And she is a retailer out of the UK and was a guest of ours for this season just a few weeks ago. It was a wonderful chat. First, out of the Rubinis, how about Fundamental? I've heard a lot about Fundamental. The reading is fundamental. I have room here. I'm gonna be daring and spray it on my skin, even though the notes breakdown sounds quite fascinating, if not challenging. Okay, Fundamental, launched in 2015, a woody aromatic, composed by Cristiano Canali. Maybe I need to use a thumb. Oh, just needed a little bit of elbow grease. Whoa. Wow. This reminds me of ivy leaves, like Boston ivy leaves. Whoa. Mmm. And now I'm picking up like grapes, like wine. It smells like when you're at a vineyard and you're actually in a vineyard and it's like a hot summery day and you're smelling like the leaves and the grapes, the ones that are hanging in droops are the ones that have fallen to the ground and are fermenting. And wow, this is a real trip. I'm digging it. This kind of reminds me of something that you would experience out of like Slumber House, except a little bit less muddled, a little bit more sheared out in a good way. Like, wow, this is fascinating. There's like an oily waxiness that I like. So now I'm going to bring up the notes breakdown. Top notes are tangerine, calabrian bergamot, and flowers. Indistinct. I like that. Open to interpretation. Sometimes I like that. Often I like it. Middle notes are grapes, Tuscan iris, and beeswax. And the base notes are cedar, sandalwood, leather, and Java vetiver oil. Fundamental from Rubini. Anybody familiar with this house? Noosh, hey, what's happening? Scent of the day, If for Men by Sorel Fontana. Oh, that's that wild one from the 90s. It kind of like it's like in a book, isn't it? It looks like a book, and you open it, and it has the bottle encased inside of it. I've seen that around. I don't know anything about it. I've never tried it. Tell us about it. Benji says, I love Fundamental. Almost a sophisticated grape smell to it as it dries. Yeah, I'm digging this one. This is a fascinating. And it just so happens that I've been looking for a grape fragrance that isn't like candied grape soda, like more like, like raw grapes or something kind of winey. There's one wine like. What is the one from Perfume de Pear? It was a recent release, and it's supposed to evoke the wine lees and the wine dregs, and I still need to try that one. I need a sample of it. Huge fan of Parfum de Pierre, Parfums de Pierre, and Marc-Antoine Corticchiato. I'd like to try that. The reviews are mixed, but then again, a lot of my favorites, the reviews are mixed, or they're predominantly negative reviews. Yeah, this one, I'm not going to say the S word because it's so overused. This is stunning. This is stunning. But it kind of is. I kind of really like it, and I'm already kind of picking up like the sandalwood in it. It's really cool. GMG, what's up? Do you by any chance have? I in fact do. I have Nuvolari here. I'm going to be trying that one next. Darren, lovely to see you. Darren was another one of our guests for this season. A wonderful human being and a very talented perfumer. You should check out his perfumes. I am actually going to be doing a review tomorrow that I'll be sharing on Fragrantica, Base Notes, and Instagram of Dorian's Fougere. So look out for that. Oh, awesome. Thanks. Thank you very much, my friend. I got to get in touch with you soon. I have some questions on some things that I have yet to lay my nose on, and that could be added to the list. Thank you very much. Marcus, what's happening? Good to see you. The S word. I just feel like it's so overused. But sometimes it's appropriate, but it's so overused elsewhere that even when I want to find a moment to actually use it every now and then, it's like, oh, people are saying stunning all the time. It's just... Grape is in must or bottled wine. In reference to the fundamental right now, or the one that I was talking about, Parfum d'Impair. This, it's a little bit more of the must than the wine. Yeah. Yeah, that one's really nice. I'm gonna do another one. Gonna do the next one, which is nuvolari. Nuvolari. I should have done a little research on what the name means. These names are quite unique. Sometimes I forget to gather that information. Yes, Darren, that's true. I love Molinard musk, and it does have a grape note. That you are, as a matter of fact, you're right. It means the only fragrance in my collection that I have noted has a great grape note. Does anyone remember Grape Ape, the cartoon Grape Ape? Grape Ape. Anybody in the States? Because I don't think they were showing that cartoon outside of the United States, maybe Canada. But that's all he would say. Grape Ape. Molinard musk is great. It's a great grape. But it's also it's sort of like one of those sort of like, you know, it's kind of like they pulled a Labo and said, we're gonna label this musk, but the musk is gonna be like a background note. It's not gonna be musk forward. Like that to me is that wonderful grape, and then a lot of labdanum and a Popinax. Love it. You don't need to send me a D. I just read that you don't need to send me a D. I have a full bottle of it. It's gorgeous. One of the best from that line, actually. Thank you so much, Anuj. Oh, okay. Thank you. I wasn't aware. I'm pretty ignorant about racers, Italian and otherwise. So, thank you for enlightening me. All right. And now, that would make sense. That would make sense because of what's in the notes pyramid. Racer. Got it. Motor oil is going on in here. Let's give this a spray on paper because I'm a little afraid to put it on my skin right now. 27 people tuned in. Thank you for tuning in here. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget. How many likes do we have? Can somebody give a tally? Can one of our moderators give a tally on how many likes we currently have on this stream? All right, I'm spraying Rubini, Nuvolari. Seems these sprayers are a bit finicky. A little gunked up, maybe, from all that motor oil. Woo! Well, that puts a tiger in my tank. Ooh. I almost see the Pennzoil logo in my head. Maybe STP as well. I feel like I'm in an auto parts store right now. Spark plugs. Ooh, that smell. That smell. The smell of gasoline. Anybody know that tune? Ooh, that smell. Holy moly. This is... Oof. It's like really peppery and spicy too. rusty, kind of a weird rusty. Now, rust doesn't really have a scent. It's just the oxidation. And if you touch the oxidation on your skin, it creates a chemical reaction. Acrid as all fuck. It's so cool, though. There's even like some like herbal, minty, camphorous kind of things going on here that's adding to it. Let's bring up the notes pyramid. I only remembered the motor oil because that really stood out. Here, right here. Nuvolari by Rubini is a woody, spicy fragrance for men, women and men. Very reassuring. And it was released in 2021. And the composer, just like with Fundamental, Cristiano Canali. The top notes, according to this, gasoline, black pepper, and Italian lemon. Middle notes are motor oil. Metallic notes, mint, neroli, Bulgarian rose. Okay. It's not always important to look for the notes, but I don't pick that up. And the base notes are asphalt, ambroxan, Haitian vetiver, and Laotian oud. Oud from the land of Laos. So this is sort of in a similar camp to one of the first impressions that I did on the season finale, Tuesday Cortana Hierofante. But this, while this is a rather genteel version of that, just like what PS says here, this is the Easy Rider. Yeah. This is Easy Rider vibes, man. Vroom, vroom. What is this GG Absolute? Clarify. Thank you, Supply and Demand. I'm not sure what you mean. GG Absolute. I mentioned GG Allen earlier, and I was trying to say GMG. Just catching up here. Oh, you did. Great babe. Great babe. Dwayne, what's happening? Little birdie. This one could be great or a total total trash. I don't think it's total trash. You know me. I think many of us know when I feel like something's total trash from the jump, I'm not continuing to smell it anymore. I want it out of my life, out of my space. I need to throw it out and in the trash outside. No, this is not like that. I kind of dig this. Would I wear it? I mean, it's such a loaded question. I mean, at this point, like, I can afford to be picky. I don't know. I mean, I don't have time to wear everything that I already love. I would, sure. If you like that kind of feel, if you like things like the Santa Maria Novella Nostalgia, which I do have, that seems to cover bases for me for this. Because I think for me, the concept is intriguing, but what I like about nostalgia is it doesn't wear out its welcome. And I kind of wonder if this would wear out its welcome after a while. Where it would be like, yeah, I'm kind of good with this. I don't know if I'm into this whole mechanic cosplay thing. I think I want to go back to traditional perfumery. And then you scrub it off. You take a shower, you scrub it off, and you have a clean slate again. I kind of feel like that's how I would feel if I wore this, that it would wear on me after a while. But it's cool. It's cool to smell. Fascinating, interesting concept. I like the fundamental. I almost said fundamental. Isn't fundamental some sort of house? Fundamentals? Or am I wrong? I don't know. I feel like I've seen that name in the perfume realm. I do like Fundamental from Rubini a great deal. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Thank you for the tally. 25 likes. We have 29 people tuned in and 25 likes. Let's see if we can get in 4 more likes for this stream. Oh, and there's an update. Maybe we've already surpassed it. 29 and growing. Keep the thumbs up going. Helps me out. It helps you out too. Trust me. I don't need to explain it. You just know because it makes me happy. And then I give you even more fun content later. Holy Petroleum Note, Batman. You did unfortunately miss the Everlasting, which is right on my forearm here. Yeah, I like it a great deal. Now it's drying down to this. It's almost like that kind of leather, pre-Bellamy, but post-English leather. So the 70s, early 80s kind of leather feel to it, which I love. So I love the dry down too. Fantasy notes galore. Are you talking about the? Oh, you're talking about the fantasy notes in this nuvolari. Yeah, those are definitely fantasy notes. I mean, but no, wait. But you know what? I take that back. So fantasy notes to me are something where like there isn't even a smell to it. Just somebody made it up. Like it does have a smell, but it doesn't even really have a smell to it. So. I mean, I guess asphalt. I mean, it all depends. We're not going to, split hairs on it. But to me, when I think of fantasy notes, I think of like when some sort of house like says like, there's a poppy note, and poppies don't have much of a scent at all, or there's a camellia note, and camellia flowers do not have a scent. So to me, those are like fantasy notes. But who's counting? We can call the asphalt and the motor oil and the metal and everything. Yeah, they can be fantasy notes too, because you can't really make them out of the materials. Oh, and I feel like a metallic taste in my mouth too. That's not fun. Maybe I'm just thirsty. Yes. Yes, he is a legend. He was a legend. Rest in peace. Rest in power. Guilty Gucci Absolute. Oh no. Guilty Gucci Absolute is rather tame in comparison to this nuvolari. The nuvolari, it's a stonker. It's pretty intense. What up, Ski? Hey there. Ooh. Very, very Buddhist. I dig it. Just looking at your avatar. Marcus asks, how many scents do you have in your rotation? Well, rotation is different than collection. As far what I have in my rotation right now. So because I am still doing review after review after review and analysis, taking a breather because I need to, there really is no rotation right now. But in my collection, it is an obscene amount. It is an amount that has absolutely no practicality to it. It is really pretty much a museum. I'm pretty much, I'm at about 850 something. And I there are days where I'm like, I really should trim the fat, cull the herd, let go of some of this because there's just too much. And then other days are like, F it, hold on to it. It's, I feel like I have a museum and I have plenty of things to reference, but I'm really starting to wind down though. Like it's a lot of stuff, So whatever else comes in, it has to be a mind blower. Like even like the Everlasting, I think the only reason why I'm going to bring it in is because like it's a really good fragrance, a really good, and something from Christophe, and I really would like to have an actual full bottle. Just give me a moment. I have to clear my throat. I have to drink some water, so just bear with me. I'm just going to put myself on mute. Thanks. Yeah, I'd be curious as to what the dry down is like on the nuvolari. P.S. says he wishes that oud turned more fecal than tarmac, like when drying. I hear you. Wodupski says poppy seeds are common in Poland. I wish I could answer that. So earlier I mentioned that, pardon me, frog in my throat. It's probably from the nuvolari, to be honest. It's like irritating me, maybe. To be honest, I haven't really tried too many Andy Tower. Andy Tower, I haven't really, so I can't tell you. My pleasure, Marcus. Is this the start of season 2 or these flanker streams? This is just a first impressions. This is scheduled. After this stream, I am going on my break until June 27th for the first summer session of Effluvium. So those will be monthly, and I'll have Persolays with us. And I'm looking for another guest for the second hour of that stream because he's going to do a 1 hour slot. All right, let's move on to the third one from Rubini, and it is tambor sacre. Tambor sacre. See? Spray on the paper. I'm not familiar with these Rubinis at all. And I just want to make sure I'm not overwhelming myself. Tambor sacre. You got it. This is quite acrid and sour. I'm trying to figure out what it reminds me of. Oh, you know what? This is giving me a coffee vibe. It's kind of like coffee and orange juice. It's like and it's butyric. There's some butyrates, and it's giving me a little bit of a vomity kind of feel. Like and bubble gum, and you know what it's reminding? I got it. You go into a candy store and you pick all these different kinds of candies, not necessarily chocolate. And you have like the wrappers and everything. And it's like one of those old-fashioned candy stores, and you fill up your bag or your bucket or whatever. And you have things like taffy and hard candies and other kinds of sweets in it. And there's that cloying, indiscriminate kind of like strange, waxy kind of smell. And it kind of reminds me of that too. And also the smell of crayons. I remember a crayon when I was a kid. It rolled under the radiator and started to melt, and it kind of smelled like this too. And oh god, this is hideous. I'm sorry, this is not on paper to me. It doesn't make me want to put it on my skin. I'm not into this one at all. I'm afraid to put it on my skin because it just smells so off-putting. There's like this, whatever citrusy thing is going on is not making any sense. It's clashing with this coffee, and There's like dusty, peppery, like I love cloves, but there's a clove thing going on in here that is doing a disservice to the clove and to whatever else. All right, let's look at the notes breakdown. Pardon me. So the notes breakdown for tambor sacre: cardamom, white pepper, bergamot, and orange. Middle notes: coffee, tuberose, acacia, and cinnamon. Base notes: myrrh, sandalwood, tonka bean, and benzoin. I guess this could be one of those deals where the top notes are challenging, but then wait for the dry down. Well, I don't have much patience left. I'm not waiting for any dry downs anymore. I've smelled so much at this point. If it is a little rocky at the beginning and it isn't a tried and tested classic that, you just kind of get through, I'm like, fuck, I can't. I'm not sitting through it. I'm not sitting through this vomitorium to get to whatever's good underneath. I'm not sitting through this throw up burp of too much coffee and orange juice to get to whatever is good underneath. So that one's a dud. I can be that picky. I'm entitled, because the winner of the Rubinis would happen to be that grape ape. The grape one. Fundamental. I like that one. Yeah, I love it. And now it smells really waxy. This smells like when you're a kid and this is like a crayon that's not melted in the dry down. It smells like you know what it actually smells like more so than crayons? It smells like oil pastels, which I loved when I was a kid. And I kind of love that in the dry down. So, yeah, I like Fundamental. The Nuvolari, I'm kind of getting tired of these concepts. I'm good. A for effort. And then Tambora. What the hell is it called? Now I'm calling it an Indian percussive instrument. I believe that's called a tambora. Tambor sacre. It's god awful. I'm not, glad I didn't put it on my skin. So I will set aside the Fundamental to spend some more quality time with it. Like to get to know it better. And those were the Rubinis. Ooh. And 7:45, I was planning on doing like an 8-hour, a 2-hour run. Maybe I'll run for a little bit longer, but I'll only run if I get coffees. You see that? Buy me a coffee. Your support helps grow this channel. If you don't want to buy more than one, a few of you can buy one coffee and then it'll add up. I will run until after 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's about 15 minutes from now. If I can get 5 coffees. So 5 coffees, we'll run after 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll run past the next top of the hour. Christy, what's going on? Yeah, the Fundamental, it's just like that. And it's just so nostalgic to me. Oh, no, we're not going to end on a bad one. I have another one that I'm going to do. It's another natural fragrance from Witton West, the violetteer. And I'm a huge violet fiend. So I wanted to try this one during the stream. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Wit and West. Wit and West, the violetteer. The violetteer. Wit and West, let's see if we can get this. My focus is, I'm not using a very good camera, whether a new camera is going to be on its way, but can you see that? Wit and West, the violetteer. Eau de parfum. There's something on all of my skin at this point, so maybe I'll put it right here. Put it here. Let's check for coffees. We'll check to see if some coffees had come through this evening. And we currently have 0 coffees, so I will be not doing anything else after the top of the hour. But if you do send a coffee, 5 of you, 5 coffees, I'll run past 8 p.m. and we'll do some more chat. Maybe I'll even get in some guests. We'll mess around. We'll have a good time. I don't know. Is there anybody else in the live stream circuit who's doing something right now? If not, I'll fill that void for the evening. All right, Witton West, the violetteer. I'm going to spray it on the top of my left arm. The perfumer for Witton West is Whitney Swales. Yes, I already love it. I already love it. That's how much, like, I don't know what it is about violet and all that good stuff. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. I went to it and I was like, I smelled it at first and I'm like, ooh, glorious. And now it's like, ooh, what happened? It's that weird kind of like natural perfume. Like first you see it, first you smell it, now you don't. Where did it go? It smelled glorious for like the first second and then where did it go? Oh, I just want to go back to that beginning. It was literally 5 seconds. It was like this beautiful blast of like violet and mimosa, really like rosy and herbal and sweet and it's like really settled down. Or maybe I'm just getting a anosmic because there's a whole lot of ionones. So maybe I just need like a little bit of a palate cleanser. I need to clear out my nose, which I can do. All right. It's a pleasant pastel, powdery pastel, lavender, violet, mimosa. It definitely, you can tell it's an all-natural perfume. It is, Darren. It's 100% natural. It's very shy and withdrawn. Hello, Regis Moncton. This is, in fact, the only Witton West sample that I have in my possession. So I can't speak to Brumaire Woods. And P.S. Have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in. And thank you very much. I shall make the most of my break. It is much needed. If I had extras, I need to spend a little bit of time on this, but maybe once I go full bottle. Dwayne, you're already getting a sample pack too. You were ever so generous as to send some coffees on Tuesday. Still got zero coffees. If we have 5 coffees, so if 5 people, we have 23 people tuned in. If each person buys a coffee, $5 each, I will run until after the top of the hour. If I'm here, nobody's buying any coffees, Darren. But if we get 5 coffees, I will stay until after the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, now that it's kind of settled down, it's like it kind of feels like that, even though it's all natural. All natural. And it kind of feels like just like it's like like clary sage now. Like it just feels like clary sage. The notes breakdown for violetteer. Top notes, iris and bergamot. Middle notes, lavender, mimosa, and rose. Base notes, oak moss, tonka bean, and olivinum. No clary sage. Intriguing. I don't object to it. It just seems like rather subdued. I mean, one could say this is a shrinking violet. It's pretty, but it's very, very close to the skin. Very calm, very proper. Oh, yes, of course. If you would like, I can just put that link into the chat instead, so it's easier to get to. And give me just one moment. We'll put that into the chat. Witton West it's nice, but nice is not going to give me, is not going to get any awards from me. I need like a little bit more flesh. God knows I love my quiet and reserved and introspective fragrances, but an introspective fragrance can only be so introspective. If it is this shy, this soon, then it leaves a lot to be desired. I'm fine with it diffusing and having presence for only an hour or two, but this went right down to my my epidermis immediately. So the time is now 7:55. We're aiming for 5 coffees, and I will be running after 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the top of the hour. We currently are at 0 coffees. It's fine. Maybe I should do a little bit of reading or napping, or I should just kick off my break until the 27th. But I'd be happy to stick around if folks want to support and send me a few coffees. So I think that's going to be it as far as sampling, though. Because like I said, I don't like to overwhelm the olfactory receptors. The nose needs a good break. I already wore a couple of fragrances today. I wore Noir Patchouli by Histoire de Parfums earlier. Then in the afternoon, I wore Exit the King from État Libre d'Orange. And I have sampled and put on my skin numerous fragrances. And this just in, I have received 5 coffees. Thank you very much. I'll keep it anonymous, but I want to thank you very much for the 5 coffees. I'm going to be running after 8. Thanks to you. It's much appreciated. I was gonna maybe do one more, but like I said, I'm about to put an AC on after the stream. I'm gonna open a window. Maybe if I open a window, I can air this out a little bit, and I could do one more. This is the light is not. It's not treating this well, but this is Artiste, and it is Indigo Smoke. This is another gift from Rachel K&G, my good friend and co-host on Effluvium. She sent me a sample of this, a very lovely decant kind of sample. It's very, very generous size. I mean, this could almost count as just having a bottle. Isn't that lovely? I mean, this would render the need of getting the full bottle, as lovely as it looks, it would render it unnecessary, unless I'm absolutely head over heels for it. So I have this too. Has anybody tried Artiste Indigo Smoke? Let me know, so I can find out. I'm going to open a window here. I'll be right back. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of fresh air here. We're going to do a brief intermission, and we're going to keep running until 8. So back in a moment. Ooh, it's starting to get darker. So yes, what is Victoria's Secret? Unfortunately, you did miss all of the first impressions, but I'm going to be running the stream a little bit longer, courtesy of somebody who is not so anonymous, and I didn't catch it. Darren Allen, thank you very much for your contribution and helping the stream stay afloat after the top of the hour. Should I? Do you think it's good for me? Do you think it's sensory overload if I try this? Indigo smoke? Nobody else has tried indigo smoke from, I almost said from Victoria's Secret, indigo smoke from Arquiste. They're coming to get me. I've lost my mind. It's just, I'm on a very busy street, unfortunately, and I open my window. Yes, I'll mute that for you. Oh yeah, this is some good tunage. You'll have to pardon me. I think that this is. Let me look at the artist's name. It's pretty obscure. I'll give you the artist's name in just a second. I'll have to put it into the description anyways. I think that it's cleared of royalties. Like it's not going to pose any issues. It is Carl Weingarten and Walter Whitney. And it is, the album's called Dreaming in Colors and the track is called Dreaming in Colors. So let's see if I can put this in the chat. I don't think I can copy and paste from my iTunes, but I'll have it in the description. 20 people tuned in. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, that's the stuff that I love. I love old school ambient, old new age, like new age tapes. Some of my favorite artists are Brian Eno, Harold Budd, Tangerine Dream, Edgar Froese. There's a number of them. I love like the Kraut style kind of ambient, like Cluster, Hans, Joaquin Rodelius, Harmonia. Oh, wonderful! I didn't know you had such a stellar taste in music. We should talk music sometime. That would be really cool. All right, now that I open the window, we have room for one more first impression. This is going to be Arquise Indigo Smoke. This is a recent release. The perfumer is Calice Becker, a renowned perfumer, has been working on stuff for decades. She actually did a wonderful rendering of Vent Vert in the early 1990s. Resurrected it, and it's actually my favorite version of Vent Vert, Balmain of Vent Vert. And she did this, Indigo Smoke. Here we go. The last of the evening. Yeah, this is quite nice. This is perfumery done well. Not that the other stuff wasn't done well, but this is somebody who knows their onions, as they say, has been in the business for a long time. This is a tea fragrance. It's woody and smoky. I'll give you the notes for reference. Starts off with a Lapsang Souchong tea. Is anybody familiar with Lapsang Souchong? Now, to be honest, I love Lapsang Souchong tea. I drink it a great deal in the cooler weather. It is a tea that is smoked with pine smoke. It is given a flavor courtesy of pine wood smoke. So it's this wonderful, smoky, bold flavor to it. It's beautiful stuff. An acquired taste. Some people think it kind of reminds them of bacon. I don't get that. I think that's kind of like a cilantro thing. I think some people, that cilantro is too soapy to eat, and other people love it. And I think with smoked flavors, some people just can't get the barbecue thing or the bacon thing out of their head, whereas others can appreciate smoky when it's out of that context and not be reminded of it. And that's me. I love smoky flavors. But to be honest, when I spray this, I'm not really getting Lapsang Souchong tea at the top. I'm getting something that's like tea, but it's not Lapsang Souchong. There's vetiver, bergamot, and mandarin orange listed as the top notes. Yes, I know vetiver is typically considered a base note because it is a base material. It's a high molecular weight natural material. Usually is in the base, but creative license. Maybe it's very top. Maybe she's using the acetates of the vetiver and the very top notes of the vetiver to really push it all to the front. And then middle notes: apricot, guaiac wood, cassia bourbon. So I'm assuming that's interesting. So cassia, as opposed to cassis, to make the distinction, cassis is blackcurrant. Cassia is a type of cinnamon. It is also called Chinese cinnamon. It is a punchier, sharper, more cinnamony, hot-bally kind of cinnamon. It is often used in cinnamon candies and some very cinnamon-forward flavors in confections and sweets, versus Ceylon cinnamon, which is more of the cinnamon that might be used in baking and culinary. There's also Corinche cinnamon, which is also a refined kind of cinnamon that's used in baking and culinary sort of stuff. But the cassia, it is a bit more affordable, but it also has a lovely, punchy, high cinnamic value to it. Now, as far as cassia bourbon would suggest that it is from Madagascar. I did not know that there was cassia that was, grown and imported from bourbon, but apparently there is. And then the other middle note is carrot seeds. See, I'm getting tea, but I just don't get that Lapsang Souchong on my skin, at least. I'm getting just a more of like a black tea, like an English breakfast. It's not very smoky on my skin, interestingly enough. The base notes are mate, incense, pine tar, which would make sense if we were dealing with the Lapsang Souchong. And then the last note listed for the base notes, cedar leaves, as opposed to cedar wood. And the cedar leaves are very pitched. They're very wormwood-like and thujonic. That's what they say in scent chemistry. Thujone is the component that is very high in percentage with cedar leaves, just as it is with like artemisia and wormwood. It has that telltale kind of pinch, kind of like that sharpness, that sharp herbal, sharp pininess. Maybe I'm just overwhelmed. Maybe I just sampled too many things, but it's just sort of amorphous right now. Maybe I need to clean the nostrils a little bit more. All right, let's look at the chat here. We'll put on another tune from that album. What is Victoria's Secret? Great music. Trex is like, oh, Popol Vuh, yeah. Great album. It does. Yeah, that's why I dig this album. It's actually, I think, was released in 1986, which is, thankfully, it's not like excessively synthy for its time, because I do love synths, but I like more analog synths. And what is Victoria's Secret? It says, Holy Beans, got a sample pack from a Fleur de Piel. They're in Barcelona, Spain. I don't think I ever get a sample pack, and I like much of it, near everything in it. But I loved all four. There was one called Dandy that I got, and it's really nice. I sampled it a long time ago, and I've been intending to revisit it and spend a little bit more time with it. But I was quite impressed with it. Very much like this, in the same vein as like those early Gentleman's Fougères with the vanilla and the civet, a little dirty, back note to it. I thought it was quite nice. Oh, wow. It's funny because I don't really get Lapsang Souchong from smelling this indigo smoke. It's nice, but I'm not getting it the way that I am familiar with Lapsang Souchong. Yeah, birch tar can, especially, the material in isolation, like the raw material, it is like very barbecue, smoky, hickory, campfire. Yeah, big time. Whereas K just smells like a burnt down house in its raw form. It's like super like incinerated smoky. Well, I'm happy to educate, but realize this: I'm just as much educated by others as I educate. It's all this symbiosis that goes on, and I love to learn. I love to honestly, I wish I could put together some sort of index of all where I learned everything, whether it's from individuals or books or this or that. Marcus also says, birch tar smells lovely. It reminds me of summer. Perhaps the black tea CO2. I mean, it's really pretty stuff. I mean, maybe because I sampled so much that I have a little bit of nose fatigue, but it just doesn't have that smokiness as of yet on my skin. And what is Victoria's Secret also says birch tar is lovely in the summer. So is juniper cade. I guess they burned out in the smoke. Is something of an aphrodisiac to bees. Oh yeah, because they mellow. They really mellow out. They get sedate with smoke. And hey, we are sentient. Oh no, what up ski? Sorry, I thought I read what up ski says that one was a little hyped and liked months ago. The scent. It's nice. It's just, to me, I'm not getting the vibe of Lapsang Souchong. I don't know if I should be disappointed with that or. Tea is a tough note in fragrance, though. It's tough to capture a tea note and keep it afloat and keep it relevant, and it can get easily dampened and buried by other things. So it's a feat to do a tea scent. Oh, the scent of the scent of the afternoon, Exit the King. I actually have a review on Fragrantica and Base Notes for Exit the King. It is this lovely soapy chypre that kind of reminds me of like a little bit of like Swartaloon from Sicily, or even to a degree Coriandra from Jean Couturier, but it has like this modern slant to it. A lovely rose note to it. There's a usage of ambroxan that I do enjoy. It is an ambroxan that I think adds a little interest to a very classical kind of approach to a green rosy chypre. It's nice. État libre d'orange, Exit the King. Great stuff. And what is Victoria's Secret asks, she says, or he says, I'm sorry, don't want to misgender you, I don't know. I wonder if she created an accord, maybe not use the actual tea. Yeah, I know that there's actually a Lapsang Souchong extract that's used in perfume, like a CO2. And as a matter of fact, I have some of it in my possession, and it does really smell like Lapsang Souchong, which is why it's kind of surprising I don't really get that vibe. I don't get that vibe from this. But maybe it's just my nose fatigue. Maybe I need to, clear out the nose a little bit and revisit it later. Are you talking about the Dandy one? Yeah, I have it set aside to revisit it again. I was really impressed with it the first time around, but it was a while ago. And I want to give it, another visit. Whatupski says Bulgari are the masters of tea. I would fathom. Yeah, they're up there. Yeah, they really put tea on the map as far as perfumes, going as far back as 1992 with Haute Vert, the Jean-Claude Ellena. And you didn't really see tea as a thing in perfume before that. Put on another piece of music for the 23 who are tuned in. Thank you so much for tuning in here. We're going to play a track called Into Space from the same album. I'm fairly certain this is not going to be a royalties issue, but hey, you know. Oh well, I just won't make the middling amount of money on the views for the stream if that is the case. Because most of the time I'm pretty good at choosing music that isn't going to cause like a royalty issue. Time's now 8:18. So if anybody's tuned in and hasn't spoken up in the chat yet, just let me know. Say hello. You don't have to say much else. Just say hello. Is the tar tamed? Oh God, I can't even keep track of where everything is, but oh wow, that's the Christophe Laudamiel. And that's the Christophe Laudamiel, which I love. That was one of the winners for tonight, the Everlasting. Oh, and you know what? Actually, I didn't put any Rubini on me. So, but you could be talking about the tar and the indigo smoke, and I barely put it on. It was just a little while ago. Oh, it's smelling a little bit more smoky. And what does Victoria's Secret says? I tincture Lapsang and holy smoke, there should be smoke. Yeah, I mean, there's like a little wispiness, but it's not giving me Lapsang Souchong. Like, and I know my Lapsang Souchong. I've been drinking Lapsang Souchong for years. Russian Caravan too, which is kind of like a hybrid. It's a mix of two different teas. One is the Lapsang Souchong and the other one, it escapes me what the other one is. But yeah, I'll have to go back to it later. How many days, give or take, will you not wear anything this summer? Dwayne asks. Well, here's the thing. I don't wear anything on most weekends. I give myself a break. I'm going to put this light on because it's getting I'll get a little gloomy in my room. Because it's getting a bit darker here. I don't wear anything on most weekends. I give my nose a break, and I recommend that to anyone. Give it just one day out of the week. Give your nose a break. If you're like a hardcore frag head and you love wearing fragrances, do yourself a favor because you don't want to wear out your nose and just get overexposure. And for those who aren't aware, I also have asthma, so it's important for me to kind of give myself like good ventilation, give my nose breaks. It's important for anyone. And Mr. Money is dead. Hey there, my friend JJ. Which body wash or soap do you use? And matter of fact, I use the soap. I use all different kinds of soaps. It's different all the time. I don't stick to one because I'm a big soap fan. Don't really use body wash. The thing about soap, though, is that the scent really, I don't really use really strong soaps that are going to stick around and create a distraction or a conflict with the perfume that I wear. But I wear a lot of different kind of fine milled soaps and Castile soaps and soaps with different scents. Like I have one that's linden flower. I have lavender soaps. I have soothing, calming soaps. I have a really great one from Zoom. Zoom is a brand that sells soaps and mists, frankincense and myrrh. It smells glorious. It smells kind of like, what is it called? From Calon, what is it? Royal Band de Caron. Royal Band de Caron. It smells like a soap version of that. But I'm not so concerned about soaps because I don't really wear soaps that have a fragrance that lingers. It's usually kind of gone after I've cleansed myself. After I've showered and taken care of that, I really don't pick up on the soap after that. So very mild. And what is Victoria's Secret? It says, I use my tincture for a lot of fragrances. It's so strong, I'll have to shoot her an email and just ask. Yeah, I mean, it could just be I have nose fatigue, and I'll just have to, because I already had a feeling like usually I have a limit, and I'm like, okay, I've done enough sampling. It's not good to keep on going and going and going and going. I don't know how some people do it. You got to give your nose a break. Kevin is the Canadian god. Yeah, I like my soaps. I like some candles. Picky about the candles. Kind of a candle snob, even more than a fragrance snob. I cannot deal with most candles that are really popular because most of them, much like a lot of actually fragrances as well, just smell like desserts. And I don't want my whole house to smell like a dessert. You know, I already take like a steroid for my asthma and I gained 15 pounds in the course of like 6 months. I don't want my space to smell like dessert. Like, I don't want to be reminded that I have a sweet tooth. GMG asked, do you have any spraying routine, JJ, or just go with the flow? Spraying routine. Interesting. It's on a case-by-case basis. It depends on the fragrance. It depends on my mood. I don't overspray. And once again, I got asthma. I don't want too much of it in my respiratory space. But what I do though is I'll spray above the hand, below the hand, above the hand, below the hand, kind of like in the wrist area. I usually do that. Spray behind the ear, over here, never spray here. Ever since I was diagnosed with adult onset asthma, I do not spray here because I reduce the amount of particles, no matter what kind of particles they are, from my direct respiratory path. And another spray thing is, like, whenever I have a chance to spray outside, I will just let it kind of diffuse outward. I don't spray in very enclosed spaces, especially in the summertime when it's air conditioned. Yeah. And I really just don't spray more than maybe like 5 or 6 times tops. And I'm very anti-overspraying for a myriad of reasons. I just think that it ends up being sort of like the consequences. It's kind of like it has a reverse effect, I think. People want to feel like they're smelling really great and everybody can notice them and they can smell themselves for a long time. But it actually causes sort of like this premature anosmia where you think you actually don't smell it as much as if you were just to spray it a normal amount of times. Also, if you're going to be spraying 20 or 30 or 40 times and you plan to go out in public, don't act like somebody else is being a jerk when they're appalled because you sprayed too much damn fragrance on yourself and not everybody appreciates it. And that's okay. You can't expect the world to bow down to what we want. If you're going on a bus or a train or in an enclosed space, I don't think it's considerate to other people. And I don't care how much attention you want. You have to ask yourself, why do you desire the attention so much? Maybe ask yourself, why do I need this kind of validation? What is missing in my self-esteem where I feel the need to get this external validation in such a desperate manner? And then choking out other people in the process and causing people to get asthma attacks, respiratory attacks. It's inconsiderate and it's selfish. Thank you so much. What is Victoria's secret for the super sticker? It is much appreciated. Thank you. Persian grease is in the discussion. I don't know if I want to touch that subject right now. What? Regis Moncton asks, JJ, do you have a fragrance which smells like Lapsang Souchong tea? As a matter of fact, I do not, because I was hoping it would be this one. And so far, it doesn't seem like it. I would love to make one if I ever get back into the business of blending. I'm not sure if this was addressed to me, but what is Victoria's Secret? Very curious to hear what you think of Spacewood. I'm not familiar. If you could enlighten me as to what spacewood is, if it is a material or if it is a particular fragrance. What up, Ski? The Dial unscented soap in the green wrapper was the best soap to not combine with fragrances, but it is discontinued now. I love the smell of Dial, Gold Dial. There's actually the original Dial formula does have a little bit of tonquitone and animalis in it. The same tonquitone and animalis that is in a lot of those classic musky scents of the 70s and 80s. And I love the soap conversation here. The best cheap soap is Lever 2000 scented. Truly an unscented soap. I smell nothing. And what Upski is taking a stab at Kevin here. Leave the Lever 2000 at the dollar store. I'm a violet soap nut. Yeah, I would get into violet soaps. I've used them. Marcus Mandel says, I use the same soap I use to wash my buttocks to wash my face. I also put it in the guest bathroom as a hand soap. I want to save nature. Do you now? Do you really? I will take note of that if I ever visit. And I'm going to put on another cut. Another cut from the album. Because I'm a DJ as well. We're going to play Morning Glory. Actually, I don't think Morning Glory is from the same album. Give me a second. I'm taking that one off, and I'm going to go to the... Here we go. I'm going to go to Painted Lake. What's up with these lush fragrances? I like Rentless, and I like Breath of God. That one's good too. What was the Jasmine one? It's like a really dirty Indolic Jasmine. Forgot the name of it. I think it's just called Dirty or something. Or Lust. I think it's called Lust. Regis Moncton asks, JJ, do you think that the Maison Violet en Air d'Apogée smells like the honey and lilac soaps in profile? Yeah, I did kind of pick that up from sampling that. Yeah, like kind of like a honey soap. Yeah. Having some soapy fun. That is actually one that I do use, Kevin. I'm trying to get to the note here. Anyone use Dr. Bronner Castile soap? I use the lavender one. It's good stuff. It's actually good to get fragrances off too, like Castile soap, because sometimes so another thing, like my partner isn't really a big fan of fragrance. So when I need to wash it off, I really need to wash it off. So I need like a good soap that's going to really remove it. And Castile soap's really good for that. Fernando, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. And Clean. Azzaro Porom Low smells exactly like Dial soap to me. Isn't that funny? Yeah, a little goes a long way with the Dr. Bronner's. I have a bottle that's lasted me for like a year, and there's still plenty of it left. Yeah, it goes a long way. And what is Victoria's Secret? I have that adult asthma with my sarcoidosis, and I tell you, I know people like I don't want to be party poopers to people that want to use perfume like a fire hose. Like I just don't think it's respectful. I don't think so. I think it's really repulsive the way that people are spraying their clothes too, and there's nothing cute about it. Like 60 sprays, like. F off, man. And wow, I'm actually caught up with the comments here. Or maybe I am. Yeah, the peppermint is good, the Dr. Bronner peppermint. And Money and Dead says, I made a custom cleaning product today. Javex Pine Salt Old Dutch and water. I also put one of those blue pucks in my toilet tank. So the water is now blue. I also put baking soda all over my office. I appreciate somebody who likes to actually clean. their house. It's surprising how many people dedicate very little time to that. Oh, Yardley soap. Yeah, yeah. I love the whole soap theme. It's great. Almost. You're almost at the point of needing a big F off. That 60 a spray would just that takes you beyond the brink, and then you need to seriously F the F off. Pat Lester. Recently, I've been watching Luca Turin's Secretive Scents, and he recommends Perfume Apprentice Kit to smell raw materials. Any other website you recommend with a perfume kit, JJ? I know they have a really great perfume kit. Creatingperfume.com, I think, has its own perfume kit as well, but you can't go wrong with either one of those websites. Great places to buy perfume materials. If you are dabbling, word of advice, don't get the smallest amounts possible when you're starting off, because you're going to end up with a lot of stuff that you're not going to use. Just get like as little, especially if you're going to dabble around with aliphatic aldehydes. I made a big mistake of getting a half ounce of a bunch of them, and there was no way I was going to use a half ounce that early on in the game. I think it was just a foolish move on my part. It can be very wasteful. So yeah, when you're starting off, just get like the smallest amounts that they offer. And the kits are great. The kits are a great thing for reference too. And I recommend to anyone who is regularly analyzing and assessing and reviewing and trying to identify things in fragrance to do that too. Otherwise, you're just kind of you're kind of in the dark with a lot of things. Like if you've never smelled a lily of the valley flower, if you've never had them grow around you, at least get, a lily of the valley accord, and then you have an idea of what you're supposed to be looking for. Same thing goes with all different kinds of flowers. The easiest things are things like spices. Like even if you don't get like a perfume kit, you can just, go to a spice rack at your parents' or grandparents' house, or go to a Whole Foods. I don't know, or any kind of grocery store. You don't have to go to Whole Foods. I mean, you don't have to get the fancy pants spices. You can just, grab a few spices. I don't know. Have things for reference. Familiarize yourself with these notes and figure out if they're actually in the perfume. I don't understand these videos where people do these theme videos and there's like, they're doing a theme video for a particular herb note or spice note or wood note, and they do a whole bunch of fragrances that have these notes, but they're just supporting notes. Like why? Like I think it makes more sense to choose like, a good handful that really have that note forward in the fragrance. That's kind of like what I do with like the themes on my Instagrams. I just choose, like, say for example, last week it was basil. So I chose 5 fragrances where basil was like the most forward note in the fragrance. Yeah, when examining fragrance, like, and you don't really know, you see like a notes breakdown, but you never really smelled it, or you're not really sure how to identify it. It kind of like ends up being sort of like this. It's kind of like what they call like a posteriori. It's like you're identifying something just based on what you think it is. Like you think that it's there, and I don't know. I think that if you're going to do that, you might as well just forego the notes pyramid, or just identify what you can identify in it. And then in the meantime, use certain materials, whether, they're, I don't know, like a perfume kit or something. Like get really familiar with oak moss, like a little oak moss accord, a little bit of it, and then you'll know, oh wow, I'm noticing that. Because a lot of people actually, when they claim to say like, oh, this is a ton of oak moss, they're actually smelling other things. They might be smelling like the combination of like vetiver and patchouli together. A lot of people mistake like certain accords that contain vetiver and patchouli together as oak moss, or they're mistaking, it's like I notice this a lot with people who are writing reviews, and it kind of makes me wonder, like, I mean, you're using the notes pyramid as a guide, but you're kind of going through each of the notes and saying something about each of them, and sometimes they'll say something where it's like, well, that's not really what you're supposed to be picking up from that note. There has to be some authenticity behind it, pretty much, in summation. Okay. Gotta catch up here a little bit. I think I'm gonna run until 9 because I'm getting kind of tired. A long day at work, actually, at my job. I'm not going to give you all the full details of my job so I don't get doxxed, but it involves performance reviews. And if any of you who work in a management job and do performance reviews, it gets pretty exhausting. And we'll do a little bit of catching up. Marcus says, I use perfumes for my own pleasure. I really don't care how well it projects as long as it doesn't project too much. And Fernando says, from time to time, I buy artisanal soap and also Yardley soaps. Kevin says, I have an oud and vetiver hand soap and an olive oil soap. The olive oil soap is the best smelling soap ever. My partner's actually using an olive oil soap, and it's great. It gets the bathtub like a little slippery though, because it really has like a lot of olive oil in it, but it's good stuff. All right, so just to clear up some confusion here, Money is Dead, aka Kevin, seems to believe that Mr. Clean had deliberately blocked him. However, Mr. Clean, I'm going to give his response. I do not see Money in the chat, only when JJ posts them. I must have clicked something that blocked him from me on YouTube the other night. Not sure how to change that. So it doesn't sound like it's necessarily deliberate. Hopefully the two of you sort it out, and I am seeing my way out of that. What is Victoria's Secret? No, that's not what I wanted. Do you guys remember that sandalwood soap wrapped in paper? I'm wondering if it's still around and if it still smells as amazing. I think I know what you're talking about. I don't know. I haven't seen it around in a while either. Used to see it back in like the 2000s. And Whatupski says, olive oil soap gets a weird smell 6 to 8 hours later on my skin. TMI. It's a great moisturizer, though. Mr. Clean says this must be the same thing that happened to JJ with Boz. JJ can't see him. Well, that's moot. It doesn't matter anymore. Regis asks if I work in the fragrance industry. As a matter of fact, I do not, but I'm a self-taught perfumer. I studied perfume from 2014 until 2019. I took a hiatus on it because it's a very expensive pursuit. Really challenging, huge investment, not easy. But that's where a lot of my background comes from. So in addition to being a fragrance enthusiast, I actually had dabbled in the creation of fragrance, and I'm familiar with a lot of the raw materials and blending and composition, and that's where that all comes from. Which deodorant do I use? I use different deodorants, actually, and I find that they, I use an unscented, this is the thing, so I use an unscented deodorant like on the days that I do wear a lot of fragrance, because that can interfere. But on the days that I don't wear fragrance, I do use a brand called Humble. It's this natural brand, so it's very low key, and that's why I like it. It's not too pushy. I'll show one of them. It's in my overnight bag here. So this is one of them that I use, a patchouli and copal Humble. It's like one of the all natural ones. I love the way this one smells. It's a great kind of powdery, incensey kind of patchouli. And another one that I like to use is black spruce. This smells so good. So they actually put not only black spruce oil in it, but they have a jasmine extract in it, and they have labdanum. So the labdanum really fixes the spruce and the jasmine in it, and it kind of smells almost like a green chypre from the late 70s or 80s, kind of like Aramis Devon or Yatagan or Jewel or something like that, Dior Jewel. So those are the ones that I like to wear. I like that brand Humble. They make for a great palette cleanser if I still want to smell a little bit like something, but I don't want to wear fragrance. I wear those. What is Victoria's Secret? Says, produce section. It's amazing the difference between mandarin and orange and lemon, and then you pick them out of the top notes in your perfume, the same spices. Yeah. There are these distinct differences. It's citruses especially. It's surprising how many people can't even tell the difference between a lemon and a lime. And I'm like, how can you not? They have very different flavor and scent profiles to me. Pat Lester, it's always a pleasure to share information and insight. That means a lot to me that you show your appreciation. Thank you. Well, that would certainly get a little hot and heavy now, wouldn't it? And Clean says that he had run into that sandalwood soap a few months ago and grabbed one. Used to use it a lot back in the day. Oh, I can give deodorant recommendations. I can show my soaps that I use. Even the toothpaste that I use, my skincare regimen for another time though. I'm running out of energy. And it's a mellow evening here. 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be on for about 15 more minutes, unless somebody wants to send me 5 coffees. And then I'll run until 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How about that? Here's the link. Five coffees, and I will run until 9:30, but 9:30 is my hard cutoff. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. About 45 minutes from now will have to be my hard cutoff. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. If one of my friends in the chat can give us a current tally on the likes, let me know. What would I blend with a tamarind note? I think tamarind would go really well with a floral. I almost kind of imagine tamarind going well with like an ylang-ylang and jasmine, like some sultry florals, tiare, which is a type of gardenia. That's a good question. Truthfully, I was never really able to create a tamarind accord. I had a tough time finding information on how to do that. And it doesn't really show up in perfumery that often, but I argue that it probably should. "22 people tuned in. Yeah, give it a whirl. Like, see. Yes, just see what happens. Like, so do you have like a pre-built accord of tamarind? Is it? Yeah, that would be interesting. I just think that the two of them would kind of go well together. Definitely tamarind and some spices. That's for sure. Tamarind and vanilla. Thank you very much, Mishi. Well, it's good that you two can see each other again in the chat. Ooh. Oh, I have a vintage canoe. My dad wore a canoe. I have it for reference. And I wear it now and then. I put it on. It's good at nighttime. It's very relaxing. It's actually very hot here in the Boston area. The temperature at the moment where I am, just 74, but it was up to 90. It was a hot day, and we have another hot day tomorrow, and then the weekend it's going to dip down to the 50s, and it's going to be rainy, just in time for the weekend. Unfortunately. Oh yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that they list tamarind as a note. And yeah, there is a bit of that kind of like sour, kind of spicy, sour, sweet kind of thing going on, especially in the top notes. I totally forgot about that. I haven't even thought about that fragrance for a minute. It's been a while. And GMG asks, JJ, which type of composition you used to gravitate towards when you were making your stuff olfactive family? I mean, well, as a student of perfumery, I wanted to, develop a mastery of all the different fragrance families. So I would try to put together like an oriental / spicy amber. And then I would put together chypres and fougères, and then I would try to do more conceptual stuff. I was really interested in using unique materials and creating unique accords. Maybe sometime, this summer, I can do sort of like a discussion on all of the different raw materials I learned about. As a matter of fact, like I could bring up the spreadsheet of all the different materials, and you'd be amazed at the things that are available for perfume making. I have the spreadsheet that I can bring up, my Google Sheets, and give you some examples of it. Just logging into it. Oh, I got to confirm that it's me, apparently. And we're still waiting on 5 coffees. And we're going to be fast approaching the top of the hour. 5 coffees will ensure that I continue onward after the top of the hour until 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. An additional half hour because I'm not gonna make this a 5-hour affair. No way. So yeah, I have this is actually alphabetical, and there's some examples here. I'm looking at the A's here. African African bluegrass essential oil, which displays a complex, rich, sweet, fruity, floral, herbaceous bouquet with a delightful green, rosaceous, balsamic undertone of good tenacity. Ajowan, otherwise known as bishop's weed, it is an umbellifer in the same family as caraway, and dill and cumin. Ajowan is a musky, woody, herbaceous, spicy medicinal odor similar to thyme and cumin. Move down to the B's. I have balsam poplar, which comes from the buds of a poplar tree. Fresh, resinous, woody, sensual, sweet. I love the descriptors that I have saved here. Buddha wood. Now, Buddha wood is a very distinct one. I have a COT version of it. The description: soft, aged leather, creamy, mossy, faintly whiskey-like, followed on by a plethora of varying wood aromas, all beautifully layered together, resulting in a masterpiece balsamic woody bouquet, finished off with an exquisite sweet caramel hue. In natural perfumery, can be used as a general fixative, precious woods accord in incense perfumes, forest notes, and sacred essences. I've been noticing Buddha wood is coming up in some newer perfumes. It's starting to be used more in perfumery. I have the cognacs that if you were tuning in earlier, and I was sampling the scent spells, doing the first impressions, I have the green cognac and the white cognac, essential oils. The white cognac is described as very strong, almost harsh, fruity, oily, fatty, a green, herbaceous, slightly fermented. Remember I was talking about that fermented feel? With outstanding tenacity and great diffusive power. Some describe the odor as whiskey-like and choking. Dry out as faintly whiskey-like, but less pungent, faintly reminiscent of baby vomit. And I'll just keep going. I actually have a eucalyptus absolute, not the oil, the absolute, the solvent extracted absolute. I actually purchased some from Mandy Aftel, the natural perfumer. The description: this extraordinary base note is like a walk in a California forest, a gorgeous eucalyptus aroma without any camphorous or medicinal notes. Then there's Genet Absolute or Broom Absolute, a deep, rosaceous, floral, cumarinic, honey sweetness, a fine, herbaceous, hay-like accord, sits beneath the surface and has good tenacity. It is used in various floral bases with its rich honey sweet, floral notes and richness, fullness, and body to the composition. Rose bases, tuberose, cassie, mimosa, honeysuckle, and violet benefit from its presence. And there's many more where that came from. I don't know how that titles comment came up, but sorry about that, Marcus. It's getting closer to 9 o'clock. Did we get 5 more coffees? And no, we did not. 5 coffees. Each of you, if you just bought 1 coffee, it'd be $5. I'm not going to rely on one person to buy all the 5 of the coffees. $5 for 1 coffee. Hey, that's about as much as you'd spend in a Starbucks for a tall. Not sure if I missed this, but I'm sorry. What is Victoria's Secret? Thank you very much for the super sticker. It's much appreciated. $19 people tuned in. We're 3 minutes away from the top of the hour. What is Victoria's Secret? I made a tamarind perfume, trying tincturing with them, and it was a sticky mess. I did not try it again. Perfume is pretty nice. Coffees! Coffees! 5 coffees. One person can buy a coffee. One coffee. Get 5 people buying one coffee. You got 5 coffees. Fupra Chigere. Yes, I love doing Fupras and Chigeres. I love the hybrids. And what does Victoria's Secret says? I think one of the most unexpected materials I came across the last 5 years was artichoke absolute. Yes! Never had a chance to try it, but I saw that it existed, and I was just bemused by it, like where and how and for what reason. I love it, though. And Christy says, the tamarind accord I have is a pre-made accord from a perfumer. Whoop. For some reason I'm not able to bring it up. There we go. From a perfuming friend, I diluted it and it smells great. I just want to play with it and see for fun. Good. Regis asked, where did I get the spreadsheet? It's my own. I made it from the materials that I started to collect. The notes are either notes that I made or were already with the listing. For example, the Eucalyptus Absolute, that was the description Mandy Aftel had for it. Some of them I wrote. I actually did some writing for the Hermitage Oils website for a short time, and I did descriptions of some of their materials. I know GMG, you ran across that recently. So some of them are really in my own words, but many of them are from the vendors and sellers. It's proprietary. I don't really want to give it away. It's my Google spreadsheet. It's gigantic. It's just with my materials. So with all due respect, I'd be happy to read more of them sometime. But I don't really want to share the document if you don't mind. And Christy says she wants to go to Mandy Aftel's museum. I actually never had been. That would be a really cool experience. She seems like a lovely lady. I've interacted with her, especially around the time that I was studying perfumery, because I did start as a natural perfumer, and I quickly got frustrated with the concept, and I wanted to get into mixed media, so I moved into conventional perfumery using a combination of naturals and synthetics. Okay, so the time is now 9 o'clock. Let's see. Dwayne bought a coffee. We need 4 more. It's 9 o'clock. We're running out of time here. 4 more coffees. Yeah, the green cognac is a lot nicer. I wonder if the green cognac was used for the fundamental, the Rubini fundamental. Thank you, Wadopski. I'm going to give it just a little bit more time. I got 2 coffees. Dwayne, thank you. Fernando Soto, thank you very much. It's 2 coffees, and we'll need 3 more coffees, and I'll run until 9:30. What is Victoria's Secret? The reason I can count it. I was hoping to get a dance party started with the $4.99 a dancing fox banner. Oh, that was your sticker. I don't really have an I can't see the stickers for some reason. Yeah, it's way too hard, and also everything collapses too. It wasn't as satisfying for me to make them. We need 3 more coffees. 3 more coffees. We're going to give it until 9:05, and then I will congratulate Dwayne and Fernando Soto for giving it the old college try, but I will sign off. So we're going to give it until 9:05, just 3 more coffees, and I will stay on until 9:30 p.m. That's right, Dwayne. Soap, cleaning products. Come on. Good question. I haven't seen him. He hasn't been around for this. It's now 9:03. Three more coffees, people. We have 17 people tuned in. If 3 of those 17 people each just donate 1 coffee, I will stay on until 9:30, and I will share more hot tips and secrets about the perfume industry, all the things you never thought you wanted to know, or all the things that you wanted to know but were afraid to ask. It'll be just sort of like a little, a little teaser for my Patreon, which I'll launch in 2024, because I think that's a good time to launch it. We have 15 people tuned in, and now we have 14. I think these are people who were too cheap to buy coffee, and they said sayonara. And it seems like I'm going to be ready to close up shop here because we're not coming through with 3 more coffees. So to let you folks know, once again, this is going to be my last stream until June the 27th. June the 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be hosting the first Effluvium summer session. These are going to be monthly summer sessions. That will be the first of the series. And the special guest panelist is Persolaise. Any fans of Persolaise? He's going to be with us on June 27th. And the other 2 summer sessions for August, July, and August are to be announced. Okay, it is now 9:05. It is time for me to sign off. It's been an absolute pleasure entertaining you, enlightening you, being entertained and enlightened, learning a lot about the soaps that you use. And for those of you who are here since the beginning, I hope you enjoyed the first impressions. I'm going to sign off here. Everyone take care. And I will catch you on the flip side. Toodaloo.